back to the Grindhouse Podcast. Today's film is The Wasp Woman.
Welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Cheese Film.
And I am Hecubus.
Yes, for the first time here.
We have a place that's going to be permanent. It's just not today.
Yes, I think
or
this is
the next one, or probably the one after that. But eventually and soon.
the third video podcast coming at you in a different location. That will change soon. And we're very excited for it. We've secured an area where we can do
A lair.
a lair. That's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it a lair. Today's film is The Wasp Woman.
From 1959.
1959, a movie directed by a staple of the podcast, Mr. Roger Corman.
Yeah, I was going to say it's an American International movie, so you know
AIP.
who did it. It stars Susan Cabot, Fred Isley, a bunch of people that nobody's ever heard of.
Not
She's
heard
the
of
most famous person.
And I haven't even heard of her
Me neither. And this is her last movie.
before Tragic.
Well, this is her last movie because then she did some Broadway stuff.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, we can get to that.
But yeah, so The Wasp Woman, directed by Roger Corman, who made over 100 movies and never lost a nickel.
Yeah.
You're thinking like,
I think
wow.
that's the name of his book too, is something like that, How to Make $1 Million
and not lose a nickel. Yeah, because he's the king of schlock. He's the king of B movies. He's the king of keeping a low budget.
Yep.
And this is a good movie to look at to prove that you have a low budget. It's
A lot of it doesn't look low budget.
so that's something I do praise Corman for a lot because he puts a lot of time, energy, and resources into making the dollar do a lot of the work.
Right.
So
Like the sets with the offices and stuff like that. It's obviously a set with a backdrop.
Right. And they reuse a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, they did.
Just go from a different angle or even you just shot this footage and you're just going to play it over and over again in a cheesy looking montage.
Right. With a
xylophone. This is a sci-fi horror movie that I think the composer of the movie didn't understand that it was a sci-fi horror movie.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It is one of the most silly, goofy soundtracks I've ever heard.
It does.
In anything. It's impressive how Hanna-Barbera it felt to me.
Yeah, totally. It is. It's like a cartoon, the music. Like somebody said, hey, can you do some music for me? And he's like, here, just use this.
Yeah.
And they're like,
he already
oh,
had
okay.
it. Yeah. Like somebody had it already in their catalog and they he got
Recycled
a deal on it. Yeah.
Regifted it.
Exactly. Which is what Corman was known for the best.
Right.
And being the king of B movies and stuff like that, obviously it comes with some weight of not having a lot of good stuff in there.
Yep.
But your bad movies look good, and that's what's important. So, with that being said, that's a text message.
Oh, okay.
I
All right,
forgot to put my
let's say-
phone in studio mode.
So there's a couple of things I noticed that was obviously to save money. Like at the beginning, when the doctor, he's got a weird name, Zinthrop. He, it's the opening of the movie, and he's coming in, and he's got a whole bee suit on already.
Yes.
Like it's a nice, bright, sunny day out in the forest. You wouldn't. You would wait till you got to the bees before you put all that get up on. Whoops, excuse me. That and then he gets fired.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that comes to fire him. You remember when he goes to that one bee area where that guy is? There's a couple of guys. They got a. All right, it's where Zinthrop works, but he wasn't there at the time. So they drive to where Zinthrop is. And the guy gets out of the car. Did you notice this? He's already got the bee suit on. He drove there with the friggin' bee suit on. And that's obviously to save money, but come on, man.
So, I'm going to point something out because you and I spoke a couple days ago about this. That was not in my version.
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole movie opened up completely different.
Yeah, they added that. For television said, your movie's not long enough. So they went out and all that stuff. They're looking for Zinthrop. He feels bad that this stuff he's making is gonna is a failure.
Yeah.
So he goes out to get hit by a car, and they don't know where he is. So they're looking for him. So all that driving in the car apart with the xylophone, they had to shoot. They made it longer because they're out looking for him with a poster. Have you seen this man? They go to one place and then just drive by places.
So my version of this movie actually started with the boardroom scene.
Wow.
Where they're
that's a
talking
lot.
about where they're talking about how their sales are going down and what's the reason for it.
And the Zinthrop's already there.
They have the meeting, and then he comes into her office saying, "I've got an idea for you that you're going to want to hear." All that beekeeper stuff.
So you saw it.
I played a second version of the movie, and it started out differently.
Wow,
and I was like, "Well, that's interesting." That you cut out I thought they cut out the beginning of the movie. Right. They added to the beginning of the movie.
Yes, they totally added to it, and I think that you need that addition. Even though it's kind of stupid, the guy's walking there in an entire bee suit, and he goes and gets that hive of wasps. Yeah, and the way he's talking to them and stuff is dopey, but I think it worked better.
I want to know why wasps, because they're not.
I think because they're dangerous, and you don't get honey from them. No matter what Charlie might say,
and they do. Yeah, you don't.
There's nothing delicious in there.
No, they're murderous insects. They're carnivores.
Yeah,
they eat beef if you let them, which is terrifying to me. But so I guess that's a good reason too. And like The Fly was a popular movie too. He's probably. I mean, it's a black and white insect evolution movie, so like you can tell that this was trying to capture on the popularity of
I definitely think they did that on purpose like that from The Fly.
But yeah, I mean, you could have called it like the queen bee. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like you could have had it be honeybees. The African killer bee are honeybees,
right?
So like, I mean, you could have done that, but he didn't because I think again,
Wasp Woman.
Wasp Woman got the alliteration, but I think the poster was made before the movie.
It probably was.
Honest to God, I think that he saw something like that and ran with that idea.
Yeah, right.
Roger Corman is the best ideas man.
Yeah,
I think.
Sure, idea factory.
He's just, man. How do I describe this? So like, he comes up with this idea of making a movie around small stuff, like a set. If you had a leftover set, you're making a movie about the set.
I think Battle Beyond the Stars had something later like that.
Well, The Terror was, I think I talked about this previously.
Yeah, The Terror, definitely.
They finished wrapping on The Raven with Vincent Price and Boris Karloff and asked Jack Nicholson and Boris Karloff to stay a couple days later because he finished with 3 extra days. And they asked him, what's this movie about? And he said, or like, what's the script? He said, no script, just a lot of castle. So like he has he's genius for doing this because he has this idea in his head about I'll make just some haunted castle movie and I'll figure out the story later, and 90% of the time it is fine, but then you got those gems like the Haunted Palace, and then you got these ones like the Wasp Woman where they're not as great.
It's all set up.
I do think this movie was not as good as I was hoping for.
No, and it's kind of, I was thinking it reminded me a lot of The Outer Limits, in that the Outer Limits shows have lots of times, because they're an hour long, a ton of setup, and then there's the payoff. And this was a ton of setup, and it didn't pay it off. It was a cheesy payoff.
It was a cheesy payoff, and I don't think it looked as good as they thought it looked.
No, even in black and white.
No.
All right, let's talk about some cheese.
Okay.
One, Doctor brings in 2 guinea pigs to put his serum in with a giant needle like this big needle. That's filled with the crap. And so he injects it into him. Cheese number 1, the stuff is dripping down his arm. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't.
It's just flowing down his arm. So he puts it in the guinea pig. The guinea pig turns younger. It turns into a rat.
Yeah. I was watching this with my fiance, and she was like, so did you turn her into a rat? Because it's not, they didn't get a rat that looks like a guinea pig.
No,
it's just
or
a white rat.
Baby guinea pig.
Yeah, which I thought was the easiest thing you can do.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Why would you not do it? Well, probably because you had 4 hours with these guinea pigs and you had to make it work.
Yeah, we'll bring big guinea pigs and little guinea pigs. Not bring guinea pigs and rats.
Because it's not even a little bit a look-alike. Other than the color, like the rat's
Even
got
the
a tail and
it looks like a rat.
The guinea pig is a completely different animal, and like you can tell. But like this movie was made for drive-ins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the negative comments you could make to it are over before you even know it. You know what I mean? That's another genius thing with Corman is that like he used a rat instead of another guinea pig, and we're not going to show the other one turning into a rat.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? We're just going to go on.
Yeah,
just keep going. They won't remember. They won't think about it. Just keep going until the end of the movie, and then that's it. Because I've already paid for the ticket. You're not losing any money.
You know you're not. So the side effect is it makes you aggressive and turns you into a thing. That's what the cat was kind of a thing. I don't think it was supposed to be a wasp.
It was a...
And so the point is, okay, Susan Cabot plays a cosmetics CEO she used to be the model for it too. Now she's older. Nobody's buying their products. What are they going to do? Okay, he's got his age reversing crap. So she's going to start taking it. It has a side effect. Obviously, it's going to turn her into a wasp.
Right.
So he starts injecting her with it. Okay. Then he can't. And she skips. Well, it's not like she stops taking it. She starts having the side effects, which is she turns into a wasp and eats a guy's face. A guy who cannot live without his pipe. I think that guy would have been a great Reed Richards.
Yeah, he would have.
And the pipe and everything. He was very dapper. But so she turns into a wasp. She's got a wasp head and wasp pincers. She kills somebody, drags their body away, and then eats their innards because they talk about it more than they show it. But then she turns back.
Like it was...
By injecting the stuff. How did she inject the stuff with her pincher hands?
How did she know to inject the stuff?
How did she know to inject the stuff? All that. Like if there's a lot of...
She goes mad.
Yeah.
You know? So where's the comeback to reality thought process of, I need more of that medicine?
Right.
And if that medicine is making you into the fly creature, wouldn't you not want to take the medicine? Wouldn't that mad wasp lady want to suppress those feelings?
Right. And be that one.
Because that's what, like,
if you Mr. Hyde.
If you don't take the medicine, you start
having the side
effects. It's got to have the consistency, and the more you take it, the less it is effective, and the more the side effects show themselves.
Right.
So there's no real reason why the evil half of her would want or even know to do that.
I know.
But again, like, this is something we're giving way more thought than they did.
Yeah.
On that. They were like, well, yeah, she take, and then you got to have a shot of her taking the medicine.
Right.
Which again they don't show. She just comes back to being normal.
Right.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
I think this might be the cheesiest B movie we've watched so far.
Oh, it definitely is. I think
over all of them, I think this one.
Yeah, definitely.
Takes that.
I think
winner.
Dark Star they had to use they use spray paint for the sets and stuff like that. They might have had a smaller budget and stuff, but the story and the writing made up for it, in my opinion. And they don't have it here. Did you notice Roger Corman was in it too?
No, I didn't see him.
He's the doctor that looks at Dr. Zarthron.
Really?
Yeah, that's a very young Roger Corman.
Well, yeah, I didn't pick up on that.
He's not credited either.
Well, he's got the... and this is something I thought was kind of cool is they... the way the credits came in the order they came in, they really emphasized Miss Cabot in this.
Yeah, she was the biggest
star.
Yeah,
in a time where like you could have, put the male leading character above her,
right?
But they chose not to, which is
even though
deal.
the movie is mostly about her. But they still would do that.
Well,
Put the
like
male of it because they're jerks.
Well, Cheers was one of the biggest. I don't know what the word is, but like it was big for doing this because it had both your leading man and your leading woman's names equal. They didn't do that.
I thought Shelley Long's was down on the screen though. I don't know.
Or that might be on the same. Or his comes on first, but hers stays on longer, or something like that. Like
it was
revolutionary. They don't do stuff like that in old Hollywood.
No,
and I'm glad they don't now. But it's cool to see that this was. She is the leading lady. She turns into the monster. She is not the victim. She is the.
She's the bad
guy. Yeah, she's a villain. And she's not some pushover. She's not looking for love.
Yeah, that's what a real strong woman is.
Yeah.
They try to just write male parts and cast a woman, and it don't work. You got to be a real person. Be a human. But we should probably talk about what happened too. Because Susan Cabot was, I guess, kind of a rising star. And I'm more on Broadway than this, but...
Yes, and
she was beaten to death by her own son.
Yeah, it's tragic.
She got dementia, and he had dwarfism. He was maybe the bastard son of some Middle Eastern king, because she was dating him first, and then he dumped her, and basically, I think he had arranged marriage. Who cares? Anyway, she ended up having mental issues and depression and. What's that called when you get old and you can't remember things? Dementia.
Dementia. Alzheimer's.
He had dwarfism and was taking human growth hormones. And I guess she started taking them to improve her memory or her brain. And it did the exact opposite. And she attacked him with a kitchen knife or something. And he ended up beating her to death. He didn't do any time. He did try to cover it up. But once the truth came out, he got probation because they believed him that she was taking this stuff and it made her nuts. She was attacking him and he was defending himself. It's a tragedy.
It's a tragedy. And it really, man, I hate hearing stories like that because a lot of those old Hollywood stars had a lot of tragic ends to them.
Yeah, they did. It's a lot of them.
It's crazy what can happen when you're on the top of the world, you know?
Yeah.
And littlest thing you're plummeting. But I'm glad that she did this, and I'm glad that she did this with Corman, because alone for the revolutionary female protagonist in a horror movie this. Because it could have been so... I mean, I just recently watched Dementia 13, where there's a slasher killer. It's a Corman-produced Francis Ford Coppola's first film.
Right.
There's a male slasher. He's killing women. Like, you could have just done that again. It's very simple, but you chose to do something new in the horror world and made the woman the creature. You really... It's a modern type of filmmaking. In terms of something,
and it's
that,
right on the cusp of the '60s,
yeah,
which is kind of a cultural revolution.
And they didn't give it all this kind of deeper thought, but the movie, if analyzed like this, can hold a lot of weight. In retrospect,
right.
Like you can analyze this film and in your film class and talk about how equality.
Yeah, that would be a good idea to show this movie because even like that one secretary lady, and the guy's like, "Hey, baby, whatever," the Queen of Queens or whatever, Brooklyn, whatever she calls her, and then she reverts back to being, "Why don't you go suck an egg or something stupid like that?" And he's like, "Okay, that's the real you." But even like all the stuff they're talking about and her personal secretary, they're all. It's not demeaning to women at all.
It's not.
It is a little empowering too because they're just regular people doing a regular job on equal footing with men.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're
at the least equal.
Two white guys here talking about if it's demeaning or not for women, but to us, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just and. I want to go from here to talk about how she looks in this, how the effects of the Wasp Woman look in this, because they're not in any way reminiscent of, if I believe, a wasp. I think this looks like a mutated ant.
Yeah, it does look way more like an ant.
Like, she's got the antennas, which is fine, but then she's got these popped out,
weird eyes,
bugged eyes,
and that mouth, her mandibles.
I think they had a head on a stick for some of this, because the way
sometimes it
moved
looked
was
like that too.
not human.
Yeah,
and not human in like she's not human anymore way.
No.
Like, not human as in like it's a stick.
It's a stick.
Yeah.
It was obviously a mask. And I think they wanted to make sure she wore all black when she was going to turn into the bug.
So that
she didn't have to change her costume. But also, they throw a conveniently labeled bottle of acid on her.
Yeah.
And it's breakaway glass, obviously. But they put liquid in it. She said it made her ears ring when he hit her with that thing. Or her teeth rattle or something. And then... it was smoking, and they used stuff on it to look like the smoke, and she had to peel it off. I think she might have lost some skin peeling that off, but it was not good for her.
Because she do that right before she dies.
Yeah,
when she
falls out the window.
Which again is like another, like there wasn't like a defeat her kind of thing. It was just kind of a get away from me.
Right. They were waiting for the police.
Yeah,
they called the cops and we're waiting for the cops.
I do think that with the Fly coming out recent to this, and with this coming out, and like that influx of like them and this like the World of Tarantulas or something like that. Insect movies were a hit.
Yeah.
Like how today, like the kaiju, the big monsters are.
Yep.
And I wonder if you were to bring these movies into the 21st century, re-release this in Regal, if it would have any traction and get any kind of
I don't think this one would.
attention, or if it would just kind of fade away. Because we don't see a lot of insect-focused horror movies anymore.
They're remaking Arachnophobia, which is an insect. Well, it's a spider, I guess, whatever. It's still a bug anyway. But other than that, I don't know of anything insect themed now.
Yeah.
They're really those artsy-fartsy ones, like the one Jake Gyllenhaal's in, where he's two people. I can't think of it. And then there's that giant spider at the end.
Oh man, I can't
Nemesis or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And then that thing. Oh, what is the movie?
The Thing?
No. Oh, I can't think of what it's called, but it's got a face and like a spidery body. It's a guy's pet / ego. You know what I'm talking about? He's got big spindly legs.
I don't think I do.
It's an arts house movie. They're not Jurassic Park.
But
and I said Jurassic Park on purpose because you mentioned that there was he really exploits the zeitgeist with that. The Fly, them, all these atomic movies with bugs.
Right.
The Wasp Woman. When Jurassic Park was gonna come out, he made a movie called Carnosaur.
Yeah, that
and put it out just before it came out. He's got a real talent for that, and
he's crafty. He knows how to make a buck.
He does.
He's really good at it. I mean, the movies aren't always reviewed well or liked very well, but
they're mostly I think it might have been American International. It might have been a different company. They did a study and to what kind of movies are we going to make? Excuse me. And a teenage boy will go see something, and a teenage girl will go see it too. But a teenage boy will not go see what a teenage girl wants to watch. Older kid will watch something, and a younger kid will watch it, but an older kid won't watch what a younger kid will watch. So that's why you see these things that are mostly geared towards young men, because they're the ones that are going to go see it, and they're going to bring a bunch of people with them.
Ah, okay. Okay, so that's still kind of the tactic now.
It is. It works.
And because that's kind of how society is. Like, you bring your girl to the movies, you bring your significant other to the movies. That's kind of what you do, and you'd bring a kid to the movies, stuff like that. And like, it's just ease of access at that point.
Yeah, exactly. You're casting a wide net.
You are, and that's and if it works, I mean, unfortunately, if it works, don't try to fix it.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
But that's an interesting thing to kind of look at and digest when you're watching a movie like this,
right?
Because like, I wouldn't have assumed this had a wide female audience.
No, I don't think so.
Because it doesn't feel like a movie made for girls.
Right. It's really not made for anybody.
It's not. It's not made for anybody.
It's going to get a big release, in a lot of drive-in theaters. Yeah. And here it is. And you like bug movies? Here's a bug movie.
It's just there.
Yeah.
Yes. Kind of like the music, like, it doesn't have focus to it.
Right. It's real generic.
There.
Yeah.
So, I just didn't think this one was his best work, and it really sucks because I was thinking about, like, well, why doesn't this work? And it just doesn't work because it doesn't feel like it cares about its own stuff.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And I was thinking more about it, like Roger
Corman, cash grab.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just, they put out more movies than they do now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, not every movie was your blockbuster. So this was probably one of the 10 he had going on at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And fourth in line at this movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it was going to go.
Right.
So that's probably just how this was. It was just kind of to be made next.
Yeah.
But thinking about a lot of the stuff he's done, I kind of want to think it would be a cool idea to put college-aged film majors in a class where, like, their capstone is take an old Roger Corman movie and improve it, make it better.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because a lot of these ideas are
do.
really cool ideas. Like, the Wasp Woman is a cool idea,
right? And who doesn't want to be de-aged?
Exactly,
young as kids, but
because you've got a concept of if you were to actually break this down into actual concepts, you have a woman consumed by pride who goes out of her way to achieve eternal youth. And that alone is a great premise and concept. Yes. And then you go on to her hubris gets in the way and she slowly becomes a terrifying creature.
Yes.
And it's like it's the mirror of humanity. It's you asked too much and got you got what you asked for. Yeah. So like just that right there, that how I just described the premise of this movie is not wrong to the movie, but the movie itself doesn't do it in a good way. So maybe let somebody else try, because this is a great idea, just not done very well.
They recycle ideas all the time. Might as well use these.
Because, like, I mean, The Man was a great idea, man. He just liked to do stuff on a low budget.
On the cheap.
So get creative individuals who want to put their art out there. Give them, this is your prompt. Now run with it.
Right.
Show me what you can do. This is what I think Hollywood should be doing instead of just these legacy remakes. Because
that's a chance, and they're not doing that.
They're not. And it sucks because, like, think about, I was talking to my friend about this. There's this movie that's one of the hardest movies to ever watch. It's an Italian horror film called Solo.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I watched it.
I'm thinking of something else.
And it's not great to watch. There's a lot of stuff in it that's absolutely disturbing and disgusting.
Right.
But I think it wasn't done the best it could have been. And I think that if somebody like Ari Aster had a hand on it, it would be 10 times better, because you can take that creepy, disturbing kind of stuff in this world, and he can add such a interesting artistic persuasion on it to where it becomes something spectacular.
Right, or Eli Roth.
Eli Roth is another good example of somebody who could take a concept and spin it so creatively and artistically that it's its own thing.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people who are getting into myself, who are getting into film school, want to be like Tarantino or Scorsese
Yeah,
or
of course.
all these other people.
No one says I'm going to be the next Ed Wood.
Yeah, nobody says I'm going to be the next Ed Wood or Roger Corman. Nobody's looking at that. But like, if you go back, you look at these movies, and you don't see just the schlock, and you actually like.
Some of them you can
Dissolve
do
it
that,
all,
yeah. Like this
and-
with the Wasp Woman is lazy.
It's lazy.
But there are other ones that you could really get into like that by Roger Corman, and it would be very interesting.
And I think it'd be a cool idea to do. And with young creative minds, these, I'm going to call them simple ideas, are the ideal kind of things to take and make your own, to discover your own artistic
Right, sure.
thumbprint. It's a good opportunity, in my opinion. Now, I wouldn't understand why anybody would choose to remake The Wasp Woman outside of that.
Right.
The Wasp Woman,
Without a huge budget so that the Wasp, all the effects, it wouldn't be
worth it.
Yeah, it would be. Well, I don't know. I can't think of one right off the top of my head where they remake a movie and it's just a completely different movie. But that you would have to do that, and the title is the only thing that's the same.
Yeah. I just, man, I was just kind of disappointed in this one, just because I love these sci-fi horror movies. I love
Sure,
these B
they're
movies,
great.
and this one just didn't do it for me.
No.
Unfortunately.
Watch The Outer Limits instead.
Yeah, we can watch The Outer Limits or watch The
The
Fly.
Outer Limits, that has one. Or was it The Twilight Zone, where there's these people out in the desert, like a couple, and they start getting attacked by these ants that have faces.
Ooh.
And it turns out the U.S. government made a deal with this alien race to have their prisoners sent to Earth to serve their time. And it was just cool. That one, I think it was a Twilight Zone. It's better than The Wasp Woman.
Man, I hate saying that. Man, I really do. Because like the poster of this looks awesome.
Sure, it's
They
great.
always do. And then you take a look at this, and boy almighty, is it just...
She's just missing. I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
she's-
like,
I'm
that's
gonna
what
get ya.
she's doing. Like, when she goes to kill the guy with
The pipe.
pipe, she just kind of, like, puts her hands up. And,
Yeah.
like, he falls down. Like, and you can see, like, the glove coming off her hand when she does it. Like, this was shot... There's probably a budget of, like, $15, man. Like, it's so...
It was low budget. It was.
It was low budget and not in the best, because we've talked about low budget movies on. I mean,
Not a problem with low budget.
it's just he did really good on certain things. Like
Yeah, the acting is good in
the
this.
acting's really good. The premise is pretty good.
Yeah. The sets
sets
are good.
great. But then you've got
The cinematography is really good
happy
too.
music, man. I cannot get over that.
Yeah, that cartoon music and the all set up, no payoff.
Yeah, exactly. The tone of this movie was terrible. I think it was just you didn't know if I'm
don't think
supposed to be
it-
laughing or afraid here.
It was non-existent.
It was just bad.
No tone.
I usually say, like, this is a great one to get on a Friday night, get the VHS, order a pizza and a beer, and watch it with your friends.
Don't bother.
Don't watch it. It just don't bother with it. It's not, man. It's not even so bad it's good. It's just so bad it's
boring.
It's just
That's the worst thing you could say.
yeah.
It's boring.
Man, I give it like a thumbs down.
Yeah,
really,
give it
honestly.
1 star.
It's a trip. So if you're interested in it, I mean,
It's not long.
by all means. The version I first watched was 1 hour and a minute long.
Right.
I put on another one that was 1 hour and 13 minutes long.
Yeah.
So if you've got time to kill, go on Tubi and watch it for free, because
Sure.
I wouldn't suggest buying it.
Yeah, don't pay for it.
Unless you are deep diving into sci-fi horror.
Roger
bug
Corman. I want to
transformations,
see every Roger Corman movie.
or if you're insane
Or Susan Cabot.
and want to watch every Roger Corman movie, or just want to watch Susan Cabot's last film role. Other than that, this movie has nothing going for it.
No. She does a great job, and that's it.
Yeah. this it's just, and even the ending, like it just ends. Like she falls out the thing. They go to like make sure the girl she was dragging away is okay, but like the title card just says the end before you even know. Like the movie wanted to end before you knew it was gonna end. And
she's a cosmetic CEO, and twas beauty that killed that beast.
'Twas beauty that killed the beast. But overall, I would say, you know, thumbs down for me.
Don't bother.
Don't bother with it. But we will check out another movie from the 70s where things go awry and the time has forgotten. Next week, check us out. We'll be watching The Land That Time Forgot. So if you want to watch it too, it's free on YouTube. So
that's how I watched it.
We'll come back next week and we'll discuss The Land That
Time
Forgot.
Forgot.
I think that's a good way to start doing these. Like introduce the movie at the end of the next episode, so you guys can watch it too, and then we'll all talk about it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and this one was a request we got on our website. So is this next one. So if you would like to request a movie, go to www.thegrindhousepodcast.com. There's a tab up there that says request, and just fill it out, and we'll get it. And we would love to hear from you. If you like this video, please leave it a like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends.
That good stuff.
Because it's really it's a good opportunity to expand your repertoire in film. But I have been Cheese Film
and Hecubus,
and this has been the Grindhouse Podcast.